Anatomy and Physiology Tutorials, Transport Processes. The plasma membrane, primarily composed of a phospholipid bilayer, has the characteristic of being selectively permeable in that it regulates what moves into and out of a cell. This tutorial will cover the different types of transport across the membrane. The first type of transport is passive, meaning that no cellular energy in the form of ATP is required to move substances from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. Substances move down a concentration gradient. Think of it like this. It's easy to roll down a hill, but think about the work required to go uphill. Diffusion across a selectively permeable membrane is a type of passive transport. As seen here, there is a high concentration of molecules inside the cell, intracellular, and a low concentration outside the cell, extracellular. These molecules will diffuse across the membrane down the concentration gradient. Osmosis is a type of diffusion that deals with the movement of water across a selectively permeable membrane down a concentration gradient. As seen here, the solutes are too large to pass through the selectively permeable plasma membrane. Only the water molecules may pass. The concentration of the solute molecules in the extracellular fluid is high, which translates into the water concentration being low. Since the water concentration is higher in the intracellular fluid than compared to the extracellular, the water will diffuse through the membrane down the concentration gradient. This brings us to our discussion on tonicity. Tonicity describes the ability of a solution to change the shape of a cell by causing it to lose water or take up water. Tonicity explains the solute concentration of a solution, which we will then translate into what the water concentration is. Isotonic. Iso means same. When comparing extracellular and intracellular solutions, the concentrations of solutes are the same. Hypotonic. Hypo means lower. So when comparing extracellular and intracellular solutions, the concentration of solutes in the extracellular is lower than in the intracellular. Hypertonic. Hyper means greater. So when comparing extracellular and intracellular solutions, the concentration of solutes in the extracellular is greater than in the intracellular. Here we have a cell that has an extracellular solution that is isotonic to the intracellular solution. The solute concentrations on both equal, so therefore the water concentrations are both equal. There is no concentration gradient, so there is no net diffusion of water, or osmosis, into or out of the cell. The cell shape will not change. Here we have a cell that has an extracellular solution that is hypotonic to the intracellular solution. The solute concentration of the extracellular solution is lower than that of the intracellular. Therefore, the extracellular water concentration is higher than the intracellular. There is a water concentration gradient where water will move into the cell, causing it to swell, maybe to a point where it will lyse or burst. Here we have a cell that has an extracellular solution that is hypertonic to the intracellular solution. The solute concentration of the extracellular solution is greater than that of the intracellular. Therefore, the extracellular water concentration is lower than the intracellular. There is a water concentration gradient where water will move out of the cell, causing it to shrivel or crenate. Another type of passive transport is filtration. Water and dissolved materials are forced through the pores of a cell membrane by fluid or hydrostatic pressure. The hydrostatic pressure that may cause this to occur in your capillaries is blood pressure. Now we move into the discussion of ion pumps, which is a type of transport that requires the expenditure of energy in the form of ATP, active transport. Unlike diffusion, where molecules move down a concentration gradient, here molecules must be pumped up a concentration gradient using a carrier protein to pump the ions. Remember, it takes energy to run uphill, but oh so easy to run downhill. Another type of active transport is endocytosis. Phagocytosis, a specific type of endocytosis, which is the movement of large particles into a cell by trapping it in a section of plasma membrane and then pinching it off inside. This is what some of the white blood cells in your body do when they ingest a bacterial cell in a defense mechanism. Sometimes we refer to phagocytosis as cell eating. Pinocytosis is a specific type of endocytosis, which is the movement of liquids into a cell by trapping it in a section of plasma membrane and then pinching it off inside. Sometimes we refer to pinocytosis as cell drinking. Movement of materials out of the cell by trapping it in a section of plasma membrane and pinching it off out of the cell is known as exocytosis, also a type of active transport. This concludes our tutorial on transport processes.